In this lesson, we're going to review the concept of perimeter. And let's remember, first of all, that the perimeter refers to the distance around a closed figure. And when we are dealing with circles, there is a special name given to the perimeter, and that name is the circumference. So let's go through our first example of finding the perimeter of a couple of different shapes. The first one being a circle with a radius of 5.1 centimeters. Let's recall first of all that we can find the circumference of a circle in terms of its radius, or when given its radius, by using the formula c equals 2 pi r, and replacing the r with the radius, which is 5.1, and a quick calculation tells us that the circumference of this circle is approximately 32 centimeters. The next example asks us to find the perimeter of a regular hexagon with a side length of 5 centimeters. Now, just in case you're not sure what that means, a regular polygon of any sort has sides which are all the same length. Okay, and furthermore, a hexagon has 6 sides. So once we remember those two things, it's fairly straightforward then to find the perimeter of this regular hexagon, because it would have 6 sides, which are all 5 centimeters long, which tells us the perimeter of this hexagon would be 30 centimeters. All right, let's look at our next example. It says the dimensions of the Smith's backyard are 20 meters by 35 meters. If fencing is sold in 3-foot sections, how many sections will they need? Now, I think I have really not given you quite enough room to write here for this particular question, so you might have to write kind of small, as will I attempt to do that here. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the dimensions of this yard are given in meters, whereas the fencing is sold in 3-foot sections. So we've got some conversions we need to do here. What I would recommend is that you convert the dimensions to feet first. Or in actual fact, I suppose we could find the perimeter first, and then we'll convert that to feet. It really doesn't make a lot of difference, I suppose. So let's have a look at this. We have the backyard, which is a rectangle with a length of 35 meters and a width of 20 meters. So I suppose it's just as easy to first of all say the perimeter of this backyard then would be, well, 2 times 35 plus 2 times 20, 2 lengths and 2 widths, in other words. So in meters, the perimeter of this backyard is 110. Oh, I'm sorry, let me fix that. 110 meters. Okay, so let's convert that to feet. I suppose that makes more sense than we're only doing one conversion. Now, meters to feet. Remember that there are 3 feet is the same as 1 yard. Okay, so since the fencing is sold in 3-foot sections, really that means each section is 1 yard long. And we know from our conversion charts that 1 meter is equivalent to 1.0936 yards. So now we have to convert our perimeter of 110 meters to yards, and we can accomplish that by multiplying by 1.0936. Remember again, if every meter is equivalent to 1.0936 yards, then 110 meters will be 110 times 1.0936 yards. So that gives us 120.3 yards. Now always remember in a question like this to round up. Let's make a note here. Round up so they don't run out of fencing. The traditional rules of rounding would tell us to round that to 120, but if I do that, I'm not going to have enough fencing to go around this backyard. So in actual fact, you need to round up in situations like this, okay? So we would say, therefore, they will need 121 sections. All right, and turning our attention to the last example here, we have a composite shape. We are asked to find the perimeter of this composite shape, and just to jog your memory, a composite shape is any two-dimensional figure made up by one or more other two-dimensional figures. Here we have what appears to be a combination of a semicircle, a rectangle, and a triangle. And we are asked to find the perimeter of this figure. Now, if I were finding the area of that figure, that would be a little bit different. I would do that by finding the area of those three sections in the middle and adding them together. But that's not what we're doing. We're finding the perimeter. So, some would say, well, we find the perimeter of those three figures and we add them together. But that's not going to work because these edges here in the middle, those edges are not part of the perimeter. So all we need to do is find the lengths of the outer edges that are missing. So that would be this one and this one, the distance around half this circle, and then add this all together because we already know that the distance along the one side here is 10 meters and this side is 5 meters. So let's go through. Let's start by finding the length of side x. Now notice that x is actually the hypotenuse of this triangle at the bottom. So then we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of that side. We know that x squared is equal to sorry about that delay. I was just noticing here we have a little bit of preliminary work that we need to finish here first, because this side of the right triangle that I need is not given in this question. We can find that out fairly easily though, because we know that the full length of this side, well, from here anyways to here, is 10 meters. And on this side marked with the green arrow on your diagram, we have a length of 5 meters. So that tells us that this side of the right triangle at the bottom is also 5 meters. So now we can use the Pythagorean theorem to say that x squared is equal to 5 squared plus 7 squared. If we simplify that, we get x squared equal to 25 plus 49. So x squared is equal to 74. X would be the square root of 74, which is approximately 8.6. Now, if we're finding the length of y, remember that y is equal to half the circumference of a circle with a diameter of 7 meters. So, the full circumference would be pi times diameter. So in this case, pi times 7. So approximately 22 meters. So this tells us that y is approximately 11 meters. In other words, half the circumference. Okay, so now we have all of the sides that we need to find the perimeter. And we would say the perimeter is equal to 10 plus 8.6 plus 5 plus 11. Adding those all together gives us an answer of 34.6 meters. And that concludes this lesson.